All right, y'all. Hey, I skipped the 30-second thing because I just wanted to get back right to the conversation.
Cool.
So, what was your question again, Nylah? I'm sorry.
So, do you feel like Black women really benefited from being in the Nation of Islam, or were they just like ushered into it, silenced into servicing it?
The Nation of Islam would not be the Nation of Islam if it weren't for the women. Because it was the women that really like were the fire or the gas that really got things moving along. And the men there was the wound of not feeling adequate there, of what was going on at that time, of the rejection and everything that was going on, the racism at that time. And it was really the women that propelled that. So in answer to the question, once the men were in their role or position or were situated accordingly, the women pulled back. And the women pulled back because they felt like it wasn't their place to do that. So that pretty much is what happened. It's like it didn't benefit Black women. The Nation of Islam overall does not benefit Black women. It's not set up or designed to benefit Black women. It's set up and designed to empower Black men. And it's kind of like when Master Farad Muhammad, when he first started, and he was walking around with like this little food truck or this trolley, and he was sharing these things. I can't remember her name correctly, but I think it's Cora Muhammad. Her name had changed over time, and she was the one who actually started listening to him talk. And she was the one that introduced her husband to him and encouraged him to listen to his teachings. And her husband, who at that time, he moved up, as he moved up, she pulled back so that he could get all of his accolades and things of that nature. So no, it was not used. It was not created, nor was it ever designed to empower Black women. It was empowered. It was designed to empower Black men.
I'm glad that you said that, because that's literally how I've always viewed it. There's no other way for you to view it as far as I'm concerned.
That's how it was set up, and that's why it was designed that way. And the reason I think that it was even set up that way is because I think that, well, we talked about it in our first live, so I don't want to repeat everything from our first live, but I do want to say that her name was Clara Poole, and again, her name didn't change to Clara Muhammad over time. As she moved up in the ranks, or her husband moved up in the ranks, that's something else that happens, is the name changes. That even happened with my father. So my father's name, his last name changed as he moved up in ranks within the Nation of Islam.
His last name changed as he moved up in ranks?
Right. Not legally. But they changed the last name because they consider, and this is true historically, for those whose descendants are slaves, we carry the name of our slave, the last name of our slave master. So they're saying, get rid of that because that doesn't define who you are. And they would provide them with a different name as they moved up. So, And Muhammad is considered to be like one of the highest names you could have, like Elijah Muhammad, for example. That's one of the highest names you could have. So, but no, I do not believe it was set up. However, there would not be a Nation of Islam. There really would not be a Fruit of Islam if it weren't for FOI. They wouldn't have the programs that they have. They wouldn't have the things that they did in the community that they have, even the administrative things like keeping up with the books, attendance, making sure bills are paid and things of that nature. Those things would not have gotten. It was Black women. It was the women that took care of those things for them.
So what was the benefit for the women?
There was no benefit for the women because they were the one keeping it going while the men were getting the accolades. If you think about it, like think about Minister Farrakhan. Minister Farrakhan, you don't hear about his wives. You don't. You hear about Minister Farrakhan. Whereas we all know that if it weren't for his wife, he probably wouldn't be able to do half of what he's trying to do.
No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't be able to do it at all.
Absolutely not. He has a lot of children. So there's just no way he would have been able to do all the things if it weren't for her and the support that he has. And most of that is from women.
So did you see any like uprising of the women, any women making any complaints or anything? And if you did see that, was there any consequences?
So lived experience, it was my stepmother for years. She would keep up with the books and she would make sure bills were paid and all these other things. And it would take her 15 to 20 hours of a week doing this. And she would talk to my father about it and would talk about how, this is a lot for her to do. She would make statements about those types of things, and he would listen to her but that's as far as it would go. So, and that happened quite often where people would notice those things, but it would never go farther than that.
That's very, very interesting. So like there was like, so within, how like within any company or usually in a religious organization, even if it's ineffective, just to make it seem like there's some protective layers there, they always have like this chain of command where, if you just go to the elders or did they have that same thing? Like for the women specifically?
Well, my father was the head of the mosque, so you couldn't get much higher than him. So yes, they could talk to my dad. But most of the time they didn't go far with that. They go farther than that. He would just tell them, I appreciate what you've done, that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So how many divorces did you see?
In the mosque? Not that many.
Not many?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
So
no, now I will say I saw separations, but I didn't see many divorces.
And why, so you saw many separations, but not many divorces?
I saw separations. I didn't see divorces. If you recall, from what I had mentioned before, from the divorce, like they had money, but the area where they were, they were just under middle class. So in order to have a divorce, you have to be able to afford it, right? So there were separations, but they weren't necessarily divorces.
Mm-hmm. So to me, that seems oppressive because,
please.
It speaks to the whole social stigma, like people knowing that this wasn't right, but they didn't want to probably deal with the stigma.
Okay. Thank you, Callie Cooley. I like that. He got a third indictment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that earlier today. Yep.
So
good old Nesto.
He keeps racking them up.
Mm-hmm.
So. But anyway, as far as Black women are concerned, he's been talking about how he's gonna get out of jail for 2 years. So, but anyway, as far as Black women are concerned, when it comes to when it comes to the Nation of Islam, he's just not it. Black women don't benefit for him. It's not set up for them. Now, I do know someone. We grew up together, and she created a magazine, and it's very popular. It's like a fashion magazine within the Nation of Islam for um, the women of Islam, and they're wearing their.
What is it called?
I knew you were going to ask me.
Because I think I remember the lady that I was talking about, Alethea. She designed fashions for the Nation, for someone in the Nation, and I believe it might have went inside of the book or something. She was a hell of a seamstress, though. She was like,
yes, yes. I
amazing.
think I grew up with the. I can't remember the name of it right at the top of my head. I'm sorry, but she helped create. She created the magazine, and they had some really nice, Arab, like the head garbs and all those things that they have in the magazine and things for women. But think about, okay, so the Nation of Islam pretty much started around the 1930s. And this magazine maybe came out 10, 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think I know what you're talking about. But I cannot think of the name of it. I'm so mad that I can't think of the name of it. Let me see if I can find it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see.
But I'm intentionally not saying people's names because I don't want them to, get. But yeah, we grew up together, and we did all kinds of things together. So yeah. Yeah. But that's pretty much what it was like as far as that was concerned. And it was the women that held things down. It was the women that made it happen, as far as the Nation of Islam is concerned. Even times where there were times where, because of the rhetoric that the Nation of Islam did, where their conversation. Oh, you want me to talk about something else too, don't you?
What's that?
Okay, let me finish my thought, and then I'll reply to the messages I got.
Oh, okay.
Even in regards to the rhetoric that they would give, because they were very anti-American, like even Elijah Muhammad, he would speak against the American flag. White people would be called devils, and they would make statements about how the Black man is the original man. The Black man is the original person. And so because of that, because the Black man was the original person, they would be the ones who would make sure that everybody else was less than because they were the best. They're this, they're that. We're all that in a cup of tea, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that, the politics, the government, them folks, they didn't like what they were saying. And so it wasn't uncommon for, people to be watched by the FBI and by the police department and things of that nature. And it was the women would get picked up. The men would get picked up too. But it was the women who really held it down and kept the mosque protected. And just like in the cults where you go, like someone who's in a cult goes in and they say, they ask them a question and they'll say something like they'll just give them like general information, like I'm part of the such and such and such and such group, or I'm part of such and such and such group. That's how it was like for the women. The women would just pretty much talk about their position, like I am part of the Nation of Islam, mosque number blah 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 blah, and this is where I'm standing, and they don't say anything. So anytime a question was asked, they would respond like that, similar to what would it be like with a cult. So it was really the women that held the mosque down because I guess they thought that they could break the women, but they didn't. They weren't able to. But they did collect the women. They were known to reach out to the women more because they maybe viewed that they would be the ones to crack, and they never cracked. It was really the women that held down the Nation of Islam.
That's
And
crazy,
protected them.
but very, very common. By the way, it's Camila's Closet.
Camila's Closet. Okay.
Camila's Closet. And I just want y'all to know, Camila's Closet is advertising women's modest garments specifically for the Nation of Islam, right? Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. Her garments, and you guys know what, and it looks like the typical Nation of Islam garment, right? Mm-hmm. They start at $270.
Oh yeah, because their stuff is like silk and all this other stuff. Like,
yeah,
it's like, yeah.
It's giving that the nation has a bunch of rich wives.
And they don't. They really don't.
So can anybody even afford to wear Camila's Closet's fashion, or is it just exclusively designed for Farrakhan's wives?
I guess you can put it on credit card, you know.
Girl, Afterpay. Something smarter. Because baby. Oh my God, Nidra, for real. Let's go first and Jesus. Help them, Jesus. Help them. Don't know, Father.
So in regards to the comments were someone had told me, well, what did they say? I don't take that stuff personal. But anyway, they had said that what happened really didn't happen. And I responded and I said, in regards to women being abused in the mosque. And I responded and I said, well, that was my experience. So, you know, and then was told back, well, that's what you think what somebody told you. Well, no, that was my real experience at the mosque. I just gave that example, but there were, you know, I just gave that example, but there was another experience I had when I was a little bit older, and we were staying at this a friend of my mother's home, and all of us were staying there, and she was literally left her husband, and she was having those conversations with my mom about she just couldn't take the abuse that she had experienced with her husband that was happening at the mosque, which is why she left. So, I mean, though, unfortunately, those were real experiences. Now, over time, the dialogue changed, the messaging changed, saying that women are the mothers of the world, or mothers of society, and that the women should be the ones we should treat our women with respect and things of that nature. But I really think a lot of that was because they got so much blowback as to how they were treating the wives or the women. Mm-hmm. And in the earlier times, they were trying to I think they were trying to figure out their footing. And so they were going by what they thought other Islam sects were doing. And so they thought, well, if that Islam sect is doing it, we should do it too. Right. Mothers of Civilization. That's right. Dr. Carissa. So they said we should do that too. And no. No. Yeah. So there was that. And then someone else invited me to read the book, to get a book, which my family has plenty of those books. We used to give those books away, so I don't need any books.
They offered a book?
Yeah, How to Eat to Live. So I'm like, my family has plenty of those books. We used to give
I'm pretty sure everybody has that book. I have that book.
Right. And I will say too that there's some good things in that book too.
For sure.
But, yeah. For sure. And then there's someone else had made the statement that, let's see. I know I'm forgetting something because I sent it to you, Nylah, and I was like, should I even respond to that?
Yeah, I was like, let me see if I have the text readily available. But it was like, girl, these people are nut jobs. Let me see what the comment was. It was, where'd it go? Where'd it go? No, it wasn't that far back.
Well, basically, he was accusing me of lying and things of that nature.
Yeah, I found it.
Okay.
So he says, women never getting beat up in the mosque. I'm glad she started off the line, so now I don't have to listen to the rest of it. And then you said, actually, it did happen. Maybe it wasn't your experience, but it was mine. And then she says, then whoever this is says, no, it didn't. Someone told you that because you think negatively about the NOI to begin with, you ran with it. Look, let me tell you something, honey. That is how these irrational males behave. Okay. And so let me just send a message to these irrational males. I understand why you're in her comment section, basically calling her a liar and denying what her experience is. It's because you're dusty and you get it through your bloodline. You can't help it. But I'm here to help your ass. Okay. Let me help you out with some understanding. Your problem is that you identify greatly with abusive men. You view abuse as power, and a woman speaking out against that abuse threatens your perceived power structure. Honey, we're going to speak about this abuse, and we're going to speak a lot about this abuse, and you're just going to have to deal with it. Okay? And I just really want to understand why Black men believe that being pro-Black means that you cover up the sins of Black men at the expense of Black women. We're not on that type of time.
Right. So, right. And I'll also say too, like a good part of my work is working with survivors of DV. So working with survivors within that arena of relationship trauma. And I've helped people get to places of safety. I've helped families literally get to a place where they can't be found, and things of that nature. So, don't go there with me, because I'm very against people being harmed because it doesn't fit something. It makes you uncomfortable. Maybe it makes you feel uncomfortable because you're doing it and you want to feel like it's okay. And it's not okay. It's never okay to put harm on somebody else.
Right.
And if it's that serious, leave the relationship.
There you go. And I will have a live stream scheduled saying the NOI ain't SHIT. And so, and we'll
Why are you spelling it? But go ahead.
I don't know. I'm trying to respect your channel, but that's the type of time I'm on when it comes to that kind of stuff, because I'm tired of women having to skirt around these conversations and being silenced and all this kind of stuff. That's BS. That's BS. Mm-hmm. Dr. Carissa said, Hassan Farrakhan's nephew went to Tuskegee with me. He and I and all my weed were best buddies. Where is this Negro talking sideways to you so I can get him together? In her comment section. Hello.
He's in my comment section. Yeah, he said, I just didn't respond because I don't respond to toxicity. So,
right.
Yeah.
Girl. Come here. You come here. She want to be on the stream, I guess, child. Say hi.
Oh my God, she is so cute.
Say hi. Say hi, Elisha.
Hey, baby.
Say hi, Miss Elisha.
Hi.
Okay, leave my keyboard alone. Okay. Say bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. But yeah, they are crazy. She said, tell him to add her. Mr. Look, Dr. Carissa do not be playing. Okay. She do not be playing at all.
I understand.
Yeah.
So those were the kind of comments that I got from the last, and that just kind of told me that we need to have more of these conversations. And she cute, fuzzy spirals. She's so cute.
That's because y'all are not trying to sleep and record videos with her around. That's why she cute. That's why.
But something else to add regarding it is that I had talked about as far as how the Black women have carried the Nation of Islam. I've talked about how the teachings of Islam were carried. I had talked about how within the Nation of Islam, the women emboldened the men so that they could be in their spaces. But something else I want to bring up regarding the Nation of Islam is that they also, in my humble opinion, most of the women in the Nation of Islam are mammies.
And they're trained to be.
Yes, they are trained to be. That's the important one.
Oh, here he is.
Yeah, Mr. Madison, we spoke him out.
So Joe Madison says, I was in the Nation and I never seen no abuse of women, never heard of women getting abused. As a matter of fact, I've seen brothers getting physically disciplined for beating on their wives. Well, what I have seen was a heavyweight champion, former heavyweight champion, Oliver McCall, not only beat his wife and blacken her eyes, break bones in her bodies, openly cheat on her, be told that she just needed to pray and fast so that he can get better. So for you to try and dismiss or diminish someone else's experience because you didn't see it doesn't mean it didn't happen. I didn't see 5 Black women or girls get unalived today, but statistically, I know it happened because I understand the statistics. I didn't see it happen, never watched it happen, but I know it happens. So, like, child, please.
And the other part of this too is that, as a matter of fact, I've seen brothers getting physically disciplined for beating on their wives. So they were beating on their wives.
You're just a liar. You're just a liar. So they were getting beat. They were getting physically disciplined for beating on the wives that they didn't beat on. Get your ass out of here, you window licker. Window licker. I'm telling you, it's the Enfamil drinkers, the Similac drinkers. Your mama should have breastfed you. Okay, I understand lead-based paint was in a lot of homes. Some of the homes have the lead pipes and all this kind of stuff. Y'all a little messed up. Little chromosomes a little short. I understand. But there's hope for you, honey. Ask Allah.
And it's also known by the leaders that it happens as well, because I do know they have had conversations about it. So it was serious enough for the leaders to talk about it and say that we need to do some things differently.
No, you don't get the gaslight. This is what I don't like about narcissists. Your original comment told her that she didn't experience this. You said that it didn't happen and that she was lying. Even though you just said that women weren't getting beaten. So just go somewhere. Just go somewhere. Let's get to the real problem. Was your mother on crack while she was carrying you? Because that could literally be a key indicator of why you're having this struggle with this conversation. Was she on crack? If not, were you malnourished? What is the real problem here? We're here to help you. We can help you.
So that was pretty much my experience, and I can't speak for other people, but it was my experience. And actually, I can speak for other people too. I just kept it mild because I want to protect, I want to be kind to my family, because I still have family members that are in the nation and things of that nature. But it is a problem. It's a big problem within the Nation of Islam. And I know they're trying to, I don't know if they're trying to stop it, but I do know that they're trying to curve it because of how they've changed their narrative and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Right. It was widely accepted depending on your rank. And Elijah Muhammad did beat and sexually abuse young girls. Yes, he absolutely did. He absolutely did. He was a pedophile.
Mm-hmm.
He was a pedophile. And sex was used as a tool to try to keep people in their place. to keep the women in their place.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much the messaging is you're good for your womb, and that's it.
Like every other misogynist religion that is highly patriarchal and anti-women, because
Right.
you cannot do those things and operate that way and not be anti-woman. You just can't.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. So I don't get why he felt the need to tell me that I was lying and things of that nature. But
Dusty.
basically, basically, yeah, yeah. I still think you and Tash should do a Dusty DSM.
Right. Definitely have to do that. Definitely gonna have to do that. Yes, we are.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna
So
have a space just for Mr. Mason. You're gonna be an example.
JM55 says my nephew is a Sunni Muslim, and one of his daughters at a very young age of 17 was made to marry a Muslim in a wheelchair. Whoa, it didn't work. Dude was mean to her. That's similar to my story, is that somebody was like, this guy was like in his 50s. I thought it was weird because we would call him like our play uncle, and he was marrying like somebody I grew up with. It was weird, but it didn't last long. They didn't last long. I think her family got involved. So she was in in Islam, but her family was not in Islam, and they had concerns.
Okay.
So, hmm
Okay.
I think they got involved and pulled her out. She still is in Islam now. She's still in the Nation of Islam, but why didn't he go to jail? Why didn't he go to jail? Because of the time period, people, even like today, look at P. Diddy, and all the things that have been going on. That's the problem. The justice system does not protect women. That's the reason why.
It was,
and it was even worse back then in the 70s and 80s. That's why.
It just became federal law in 1992, 94, 1994, that you could not beat your wife. Like the DV laws, as we know them today, are fairly new. They're younger than my children. The DV laws. My children are 33 and 34. DV laws are just basically about 28, 29 years old now. So, like, what are you talking about?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And people will even say, well, you stayed. You stayed.
Right.
Quick to tell a woman that she stayed, maybe, and there's other reasons why she has to stay. Like maybe she ain't got nowhere else to go. Like maybe there's a lot of reasons. I don't want to get into all of it because it's going to piss me off. But yeah.
Right.
And the God honest truth says Black women have been groomed to accept abuse. We need to talk about the mental illness it breeds and what the heading looks like. Can we agree that mammies are mentally ill? I don't believe that all mammies are mentally ill, but I do think a good portion of mammies are probably have some sort of cognitive dissonance or mental illness. So I would agree partially with you, the God honest truth, and that applies to Dusty's too.
Yeah. Joe Madison says, so the government cut Elijah Muhammad a break. So let's follow your train of thought here. With your train of thought, I'm sure you would say you're saying that because, the government hated Elijah Muhammad, so he would want to get him. And I would tell you because Elijah Muhammad is poisoning the minds of Black people and ineffective and leading them down a road that is like to no fucking where, but something to enrich himself, that he was actually an asset to the government. And if he wasn't an asset to the government and he was such a threat, so why wouldn't the government? Are you trying to say that the government would do something to Elijah Muhammad to protect Black women? So now are you saying that the government cared about Black women? Because I know how you guys love to make this juxtaposition between society, the government, and Black women to make yourselves perpetual victims. Is that what you're saying, sir? Because you make no sense.
I think that part of the reason why Elijah Muhammad did not face charges and things of that nature is because many people were doing it at that time, and it wasn't considered to be as harmful, or they were shooing it, or they were trying to protect it. Look at oh, I forgot his name. One for the money, two for the show. The singer.
Oh yeah, Elvis Presley.
Look at Elvis Presley. He was a
Plenty of
pedophile.
them. A lot of them. Chuck.
Chuck Berry.
Chuck Berry. All like a lot of the men of. I mean, your granddaddy, your great granddaddy. Ask yourself how old your great granddaddy was in comparison to your grandmother, and it may not be, but a lot of us know the 25-year-old grandfather who married the 14-year-old grandmother. So let's stop being cute. Right. Because when it looks to, yes, Jerry Lee Lewis was another one. Thank you, Chismosa. That's the thing. You know what I'm saying? Let's stop being coy, because here's the thing. I know these stats. I know these stats so bad you niggas hate me for it. So don't get me in a bag with talking about those abuse rates and how disproportionate it happens to Black women and Black girls when it comes to y'all. Right. And again, this is not alleviating any race of male for what they do. But when you look at our population size and how the rates that we suffer from this, then you start to wonder if you guys should be making that proximity argument, because you're going to make it seem like the proximity problem is proximity to y'all. Mm-hmm. So watch yourself.
Mm-hmm. And let's not even talk about, they talk about teen pregnancy and stuff like that. And I mean, hey, he was doing
most teenagers, right? And most that's the thing. You get all these Black men online crying about, oh, these girls getting pregnant, these young girls. Who are the girls getting pregnant by?
Exactly.
Look at the study. A 15-year-old girl isn't getting pregnant by a 15-year-old boy. That's not what's happening. These are adults.
Again, I emphasize this, but it was women who have been holding up the nation.
Absolutely.
So while all this is going on, they're the ones that are holding it up. It makes me, it's disgusting to me.
It is, Elijah. It is. And I'm so sorry. That upsets me so bad. Abuse of women and the apathy that these window licking dusties have towards it. It really rubs me the wrong way. It makes me very, very, it makes me activate, honey.
And then the 70s and then the 70s and the 80s. I mean, I was talking about the 70s and the 80s, but look at now. We have all these, the public backlash that we have with like R. Kelly, with R. Kelly. I can't stand R. Kelly. Right. But so many people were defending him for what? He was peeing on children. Right.
Because he could sing, and he's a Black man. And don't bring down Black men, at the expense of Black girls every time.
Right. And then we were just talking about Nesto. Look how Nesto treated women. I mean, seriously. I mean, he, and what he allegedly, I gotta be careful, allegedly did to his own girls, his own daughters. It's weird that your children don't visit you. They don't call you. That's weird. Mm-hmm. So all those things. So, P. Diddy, all the stuff he did, throwing Cassie around like she's a rag doll. And he basically got his hands slapped.
Happen. And they're acting like he's a good guy, even though they watched this girl. Well, she should have left. So they're really, the majority of these men and these women are okay with women or children being abused if they like the guy who's the abuser. Right.
Yeah, fuzzy spirals. We heard. I haven't been too much on the thing, but I'm gonna have to look it up. That he was. Yeah, but you are right, Dr. Chris. Like, you're right though. You have to know the laws, because in some states you can marry a 15-year-old. You can marry a young child.
And we have a move in certain spaces in government. I can't say who it is because people get offended, but there is a block of people that are fighting for those age of consent laws to be lowered.
That is disgusting to me, because they're children. Their bodies aren't even developed right. Yeah. They're not mature. The body might be developed, but they're not mature to handle that.
Yep. Shame. Shame.
It's okay, Dr. Chris. I like talking about that stuff.
That's why I didn't mention. I pulled the documents a little while before we came on, but I hate when people do that to me. Like,
it's okay. We family. It's okay. I'm part of the community, so I know what y'all talking about. But yeah, but with that third indictment, that was everything. But that's pretty much what what it was for Black women. And so for a Black woman to leave, if she is in a relationship, it's not really easy for her to leave, unless she's not. If she's single, it's easier for her to leave. But if she is married, it's not as easy for her to leave, because they go into that whole, again, patriarchal, nuclear family type of a thing, that they're very much into that, where the man does this and the woman does this, but in actuality, it's the woman that's really pulling everything together. It's carrying everything. If you look even as the, it's the woman actually, like the man is not where, the man's got some things to work through, and it's really the woman that's making things happen, within that family unit. Thinking about it growing up, that's how it was for most of the families,
Right.
Yep, that's how it was for most of the families.
Definitely. I can see that.
You're okay, Dr. Carissa. It's all good. So it's okay.
What about those laws? It's crazy. That is crazy. Yeah. The nation,
and a lot of times the marriages aren't like necessarily, like you mentioned this, the marriages aren't necessarily marriage,
right.
Like it's not like a piece of paper. They say they're married.
Right. So it's easy to get into and easy to get out of.
Right.
So, and that is what keeps, like, a lot of people say, well, it's great to keep the state out of your business. And I don't disagree to a certain extent, but some of those things are in place to help people not be so vulnerable. So if you're having secret marriages of underage girls because you can't get it legally done, that's because you want to exploit. You want, there's a power dynamic that you want to exploit.
Right.
Yep, that's true. Hey, Sharnay. Muslim women can only marry Muslim women, but Muslim men can marry Christian and Jewish women. They can marry any woman from the Abrahamic faith, but not the women. Because they don't view, I don't even think that they view women of equal intelligence. In fact, I know that they don't, because I've seen them literally say that the brain of the woman is smaller and all this kind of stuff. Like I've heard that harmful rhetoric. And that's why people like that guy that was in his chat they're obviously delayed and dumb. That's why they can speak with such false authority, because they've been taught that they are superior because they are male and they don't have to dominate anything. They don't have to bring anything to the table but their dicks. Excuse me.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay. But that's all they, you know what I'm saying? That's it.
I'm not Sylvia. You can go ahead and cuss. Nylah. I'm not going to police your tongue.
No, but like some people have different rules for their channel. I'm just trying to be good guest. I'm trying to act like I got some home training. So I can do it sometimes.
Yeah, it's all good.
Jesus help me.
I prefer authenticity, so just be you. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. So the biggest thing too, I would say, is part of also if the leader, if Master Farad Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad, if they were trying to pull people in, like if they felt like they were losing. Now, what I'm referring to is, let's say the government and the FBI is getting involved and they're pulling people and they're doing questioning at the police and all those other things, right? That's happening. it was the messaging from like Master Farad Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad, would be around really having the people, you're showing your loyalty to me if you're doing this. And there would be a shaming going on. Like, this is what you need to do. Like, this is what you need to do. And it was be the women that would be the ones that would really be emphasizing it with the mosque to a degree, almost even with the shaming piece of it. Like, something must be wrong with you because you're not doing it the way, our leader is saying we should do it. That type of a thing. So it was really like the women that helped pull things in as well. Mm-hmm. So Master Farad Muhammad, yes, he did. He had a white mother. Yep. Yeah, she was a child of the devil, and it was never intended to uplift Black women. It was never intended to uplift Black women. I wish more Black women knew this, because if they did, then it would probably I don't know. Knowledge is power. So hopefully somebody wakes up and they get help.
Hopefully.
Yeah, seriously, because anything that demeans you, tears you down, it's not for you. It's not for you. No. It's the only intention. And I agree with you, Nylah. I think that Elijah Muhammad was a plant. And the reason I think he was a plant is because all he did was, or the teaching around Islam is a plant, because it doesn't necessarily help the community. It really tries to keep you in a negative place within. Even around the whole topic of it being for the Blacks, because there was so much anger. If you look at the teachings and the things that Master Farad Muhammad would say about the Nation of Islam's the teaching around it, there was so much anger, and rightfully so, I think, in a lot of situations, actually, regarding the racism and the uplifting of the Black man and saying, well, we're better than them and we're this and that. It came from a place of anger. And anytime you have something that comes from the place of a wound, hear me, anytime you have something that comes from the place of a wound, and you're not really addressing what's around that wound or the trauma that occurred within that wound, then that's just feeding that wound. It's making that wound even more. So I do think I don't really believe that the Nation of Islam is really meant to benefit the Black community. And I know that sounds wild to say because they do some things, but foundationally, because it comes from a place of harm, of hurt and harm, and not necessarily trying to make things better, then it comes from the place of anger instead.
I agree 100% with you in that, right? And
I wasn't sure if I was being clear with that, but
no, you're very clear. I feel like you said, this came from a place of anger, a place of Black men's trauma, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that Black women had a trauma, but clearly they didn't care about Black women's trauma.
No, they didn't.
That Black women were also on plantations, that Black women were also subjected to sundown towns. Black women were also subjected to Jim Crow laws and stuff like that. But the emphasis, and if you ask the average Black woman, and she's honest, if you ask her about slavery, typically they talk about the male experience. Mm-hmm. When you talk about oppression in Black America, women will bring up the male experience, even though they were great. They were assaulted. They had, there were things that, I'm not saying that it didn't happen to men, but you will see people overly empathizing with the male experience. So here we go, in the 30s with the advent of the nation, and through the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, women are experiencing the same things without any covering or protection like, their white counterparts may have had from their men or whatever. And so you've got, and I really don't care how people feel about this, because I believe that these men have validated this understanding that I have. The nation was given a bunch of piss poor men.
Yes.
To add some bravado and some shine, and they wanted the women to sit there and do this cosplay as obedient, proud wives of patriarchal males, and they never were patriarchal males. They weren't. If there was a patriarch, it was Elijah, whose patriarchy was underneath a half white Pakistani man who told him whatever to move. Like, I mean, it was a nation of lesser males. Now, what I will say is that the men that came to them, I believe that decent men were attracted to it. I believe that decent men and decent women who wanted to see the upward mobility came through the nation, and they just got what they got. But the foundation of the nation is uplifting and putting a facade on men who do not deserve that kind of shine. Okay. Men who could not shine without putting down a woman. Men who needed women to shrink so that they could be the big man. And the women were just supposed to sit there as basically set dressing. The women, I'm not here to make my husband be a better man.
Right.
I'm not here to make him look better. He better be the man that he is when he gets to me. And whatever I am as a woman, I compliment him. At least that's what he tells me. But these men needed the women to play a certain role so that they could further fantasize about basically being the white men of the Black community. Because that's what they wanted to do. They envied what white men had in these communities. The authority and the abusiveness. The patriarchy, that's what they wanted, and that's what they tried to duplicate, in my opinion.
I agree. And it was also a time where, okay, let's even go a little bit further back, even in the slave times when the Black families were really broken up, and it was quite often, it was the Black woman that kind of helped, that did hold things together. And it just seems like when the Nation of Islam, when they got together, when they first started, when they formed and within a place, as it wasn't from a productive place, it was from a reacting to a wound that was there. And Master Farad Muhammad, when he was doing his teachings, when he was making the statements that he was making, it came from a place of speaking with people men who felt insecure, who were angry, who did not feel validated. And I'm not saying that many of those things were correct because of how the Black man has been treated. But you don't tear down, you don't uplift one and then tear down the other. You just don't. You don't tear down one and then uplift the other. You don't do that. But that's basically what has happened. And the ones who have actually been the ones who have held the Nation of Islam would not be the Nation of Islam if it was not for the Black women. It wouldn't. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't. Even though it's the men that are primarily teaching in the mosque, even though it's the men that are primarily in the front, it's the women that are holding things together.
And it always has been, especially in the Black community, because a lot of the men are inefficient. Like, I understand we are in different times, right? But they've never been able to meet, the majority have never been able to meet the standard of that time. And so the women had to basically take up the slack. So all of these new conversations are surrounding women not having, you don't want to give a righteous brother a chance just because you don't have money, shaming women into taking your brokenness, your poverty, your lack of leadership, your lack of being a good steward over your own life. Black women are supposed to just overlook that because you're Black and male. And, when I think of Black women, the majority of us don't even feel comfortable with saying that you need to get an education like I did. You need to be self-sufficient. You need to earn a certain amount of money. This is my expectation. I expect you to provide at least this percentage or whatever. Black women don't feel comfortable with that. Okay. And not only do typically Black women got to sit up there and act like they got a king at home, they got to pay half the rent for the king. You understand what I'm saying? And then raise children, and you want her to submit to a king after having to help this nigga pay bills and all of this kind of stuff, only to have him, act like he's in some sort of authority over you just because he's male when he can't even take on the male quote unquote responsibility. So the woman is supposed to be 100% submissive and he's supposed to be 100% in control, but he can't do 100% of the duties. Black women are more than willing to compromise most of the time. With men, they will. We make up the highest group of women with higher education that will date someone that works at the gas station. And when women said no, we want equality as far as being equally yoked, we're looked at as being gold diggers. We're looked at as being wrong. But the men can get up here and say, I want somebody 30 years younger than me, low body count and all this kind of stuff. It's disgusting. I think that groups like the Nation, the patriarchal mindset and all this kind of stuff lent this credence to what's happening now. This, it's just, they are comfortable saying that they want, to be to be in these positions where the women pay half the rent, but still submit to them.
Which is why I also think, the police, like you were saying at the last live, they would let things go that were happening, because there was a lot of stuff that's happening within the Nation that they just let go, because they know it's just continuing to perpetuate what they're wanting to do anyway. They are plant. I think they're a plant too.
Yeah, I do. I
do a live on them being a plant.
We need to. I was finishing up my sleeper cell video on them. I'd love that, and we can do a breakdown analysis of that. Charles said that we don't pay the rent; we own the building. Now, you don't own as many buildings as Black women, unfortunately.
No, they also don't own as many businesses as Black women. Keeping it
right,
real.
You don't own them outright, and you definitely are not stewards over your children the way that Black women are. And you said Malcolm taught you. If you really respected or cared about what Malcolm taught you, you wouldn't be up in here sucking off Elijah. You would be holding him accountable like we are, because Malcolm was vehemently against his mistreatment of underage girls and women, and he died standing on that. So you disrespect Malcolm's whole legacy by talking out both sides of your neck. Pick a side. Are you rolling with the pedophiles or no?
I think about the covering of it all too. Now, the covering, I'm meaning like, you have, if you think about the patriarchal system, it's the man is covering, protecting, making sure the woman is feeling like she's in her safe space. And yet the Nation is sending the women, the Nation is comfortable in coaching and teaching the women how to talk to the police department. Where's the covering?
There is no covering. Or maybe
that's
the Nation knows how dumb they are. So we're going to send a more intelligent vessel to talk to. I wish, just even think about, can your husband tell you, hey, you go do this, you go talk to these men? That doesn't even make sense.
No. As a matter of fact, the person that I'm seeing right now, there's no way he would ever be comfortable with me doing anything in his space. He'd be like, no, I got it. He got me.
And let's be honest, Joe Madison, I'm not trying to pick on you. I'm just trying to get you to think, right? He says
he wants us to communicate with him. So go ahead, Nylah. He's begging.
He says, in the Nation, the goals of the men is to pay all the bills. Baby, that's a lie. The goals of the men in the Nation is to pay all of Farrakhan's bills. Don't get messed up. The goal is to pay his bills, not their wives' bills, his bills. You mess around and get in there and don't meet that final call quota and see what happens.
Right.
Please.
And I recall times 50 to 60%, my parents' income would go right to the Nation of Islam, and they couldn't pay their bills. Wouldn't have gas for the week, but they were giving the money to the mosque. So I'm not even trying to hear that.
I'm going to get you in trouble. You're going to have to get me off this stream, honey.
The women in the 70s and the 80s they weren't paid, especially in the 70s and the 80s, 90s. You know, I'm Gen X. They weren't paid as much as women. Absolutely not. They were not paid as much as women. And yet they held everything down.
Shame. It's really odd how like they want to uphold degeneracy.
Right. I'm smiling at JMM5's comment because a lot of people in the mosque, they're alcoholics, closet alcoholics. They go to clubs, stuff like that. So, yeah.
I told y'all about the NOI guy that was following me around years ago. He was following me around on social media. Like he would just pop up everywhere on like in Facebook groups or whatever. Mm-hmm. And the one look, this man ended up, I had checked in at the beauty because I was always letting people know that I was shopping at this Black-owned beauty supply store because I was trying to get them business. I checked in. This fool comes running up. And he was a Muhammad. What was his name? Yeah.
His name was Muhammad's considered to be like the highest.
He was a Muhammad.
Right? His last name was probably Smith or Brown, but they just said,
yeah, I don't know what his real name was, but his Muslim name was Ansar Muhammad. You know, Ansar is, you know, the helper of Allah. Mm-hmm. But anyway, Ansar Muhammad was his name. Tall, real tall, dark skin, of course, bald head, clean shaven, hazel eyes, thought he was the shit, right? Pulls up at the beauty supply store I'm at in a BMW SUV. Nice car. Mm-hmm. He comes into the beauty. Hey, Assalamu alaikum, Sister Nylah. And I'm like, Assalamu alaikum. And he's in there just trying to talk and trying to holler or whatever. This fool looks out the window and they repossess in his car.
No, he's not trying to talk to you and they repossess him.
They repossess his car. And so this fool baby, I've been inside the nation and I'm talking to someone that was in the nation. I don't need, sir, go have a seat. This fool, okay, so then he was like, you know, I need a ride and all this kind of stuff. I can't believe they tracked me down. My friend told me to disconnect the GPS. He didn't disconnect the GPS, baby. This dude had to get dropped off in the damn projects in Chicago. The projects. And he was a Muhammad, honey.
I'm not surprised because they don't, like I said, they don't know how to handle people like Malcolm X. They didn't know how to handle people like Muhammad Ali. They really didn't. They don't know how to handle them. So, very true, Dr. Chris. You cannot have a revolution that doesn't involve women.
That's
right. We are the backbones. We are amazing. We really are.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Well, I definitely appreciate this conversation.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't like none of the Muhammads. Hey, Charmaine. I don't like none of the Muhammads. None of them.
I will also say this too. So, you know, I've been in different lives and stuff before where I've told my story before of how I got, you know, in and out, thank God, of a domestic violence situation. And I remember my father, he said to me one time when I just got out, he said, "Hey, Lovejoy, I'm glad you're catching up. It's so good to see you." I remember my father, he said to me, he said, "Well, how did you get into this situation at all? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, that's not how I raised you." And, you know, I had a very raw conversation with my father, and I basically mentioned all the things that I experienced that were around verbal, emotional, and physical abuse that I witnessed that occurred as I was growing up within, and a lot of it happened in the mosque, where I would bring that up. And he didn't talk to me for 2 weeks after that because he was just so hurt. But I was like, no, I was groomed as a child, and my seeing all these things made me think it was normal and okay to be treated this way. That's why I did that. So please don't come at me with that kind of stuff, because you don't know. You don't know. You say, I don't know, you don't know. So just leave it alone. Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
but Muhammad's like supposed to be the highest rank. It's okay. It's okay. Happened over 20 years ago, and my kids are amazing. So
I'm glad that you made it out of that.
yeah,
You
yeah.
really are doing, like, you're literally doing God's work now. The fact that you can help so many people heal after being healed of that, that is incredible. That really does speak to who you are.
Speaks to you too, Nylah, because you
Thank you.
you help people too. So
I try. I sure can teach you how to cuss. I can do that.
uh-huh. So, but I think Joe left. I think Joe's done. Dr. Crystal, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Perfect cat co-host. She's a perfect cat co-host, honey.
I appreciate you. But yeah, that was a good portion of what I was just going to share to everyone. It's um, just talking about like how like, how long were you a Muslim, Nylah?
Let me see how long I stopped practicing. Okay, I became Muslim and I wasn't NOI. I was what would be considered more traditional Islam. I converted from, let me see, when did I become Muslim? It would have been 2009 until I believe the last Ramadan that I participated in was 2017.
Okay,
2016.
you were in there for a while. Good 8
Hmm.
years.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
I miss the bean pies.
You
But
do? They are good, girl. Especially like girl warmed with some vanilla ice cream. Baby.
hmm. 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 But that's about all I miss of it. So
Yeah.
yeah. But I would say if there is a woman who's watching this, um, just Mari is asking, why did you leave? And then I'll finish my statement.
So I think I was on a spiritual journey, period, right? So I grew up Christian like most of us did. Lots of clergy in the family. And I took it very seriously. And I am a person that I am going to be a forever student.
Right.
And the more that you learn, in my opinion, and the more that you become enlightened, I literally turn over every stone. And the only thing I can say is that my evolution is ordained by the Creator. And I believe that every step that I took spiritually throughout my, evolution and learning things about different faith systems, it is just part of the greater plan that he had for my life, to make me whoever I am today. I consider myself well-rounded. I respect all faiths. I don't care if you're Baha'i, um, a Muslim, Buddhist, whatever it is. I believe that they are all relevant. I think it was just part of my journey and just becoming who I am. And I've had to actually I've benefited from it because for some reason I always encounter a situation or a person that I have to communicate with that needs that insight that I have because of my experience. And it could really, for me, it could not be no other way, but it wasn't enough. I liken it to like this. You know how like you start preschool, then you go to kindergarten, or you just keep graduating. I feel like it's like a graduation, for lack of better words. Because even like when I left Christianity, it wasn't really my intention. It was I literally just kind of needed like a renewal of faith, and I prayed hard. Like um I want to know more. I want like a closer connection. I felt like something was missing, and I prayed and I was like, I just want to see you with that old flame again, God. I just want to be in that space with you again, a deeper level of intimacy. And I said, and I want our relationship to be pure and not tainted with anybody else's culture or logic or understanding. I was like, let me read this Bible and everything with virgin eyes. The next day I got sick.
Wow.
I got sick the next day, and I was bedridden for almost like a year. And so when you can't do anything, you read. And so
Right.
I just kept reading the Bible, and I would read books that coincided with it. Like, let's say I read let's say I read the book of Job, right? I would literally research the town, the era, the city. I'm sorry, the city that he was from, what the customs were of that time, so that I could have a deeper understanding of what exactly was happening. I would, get out the Concordian, the translations and stuff like that, and then I started reading earlier translations. Oh yeah, hey Charnay, it was a year, and so what happened was, upon me reading it, it took me almost a year to get through it in the way that I was reading it, because I was doing so much research inside each chapter. The Bible kind of led me out of Christianity, but not in a way that made me say that it wasn't relevant, but just more that there was something more, if that makes sense. And I never said that it was, oh, this book doesn't matter, I'm going on to something else. It was like, okay, so there's something else beyond that. And so about a year after, I ended up, and I was still sick when I went. I was feeling a little bit better, but I went to a mosque, and I took the Shahada, and they were like, well, they started one after I took the Shahada. They were like trying to give me some books and all this kind of stuff. I was like, no, I just want to. I was like, am I Muslim now? I took the Shahada, is good. And they was like, yeah. I was like, okay, I'll be back because I'm sick. And so I went back like a week later for Juma, because I'd already taught myself the prayers and all this kind of stuff, and the posturing and all this kind of stuff. And I was sick, and there was a woman there that was an energy healer, and I was so sick that my organs were starting to shut down a little bit. We're starting to, I was having some issues. I was going to probably end up on dialysis, just all kind of stuff. And she laid me on the floor, because, in the mosque, you're sitting on the floor and all this kind of stuff. And lay down. And she put her hands over each part, each organ they had already told me that I was having issues with. And she told me to go to what we call like the little India town on the north side of Chicago and get this spice. It was called coffee. It stank to hell. She told me to drink it out of a crystal glass, and it was so stinky that once I opened the box, I had to leave it in the garage. I could not even keep it in the house. I drank it, and what it was supposed to do was purify my blood. And what I was going through went away, and I have not had any issues with it at all.
That is amazing.
Yeah, and she was I felt bad because she ended up with dementia towards the end of my time there, but she was an energy healer. She was an energy worker, and I had never met an energy worker prior to that, so that also sent me off on a journey as well.
So you're constantly seeking. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think if you stop seeking, then that puts you in a dangerous place.
Well, that is an Islamic. That is a. I think it's a hadith. You seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. Mm-hmm. So technically, we're supposed to.
If we do a Viber get together, I'll bring some bean pies. I know, but I'm not going to Georgia.
So. You're not going to Georgia. Okay, so we're gonna. I plan on doing one in Vegas, one in in Georgia, and I want to do one in Chicago.
Okay. The one in
Chicago. And I might just go and drive over to Cali to meet up with Obsessed with the Mess, Love Joy, and the rest of the Cali girls too. So
yeah.
It was called Safi. It was a spice. It was SAFI, I believe. Let me see. That stuff was nasty, but it worked.
Yeah, I don't eat their hot fruit either. I don't eat the hot fruit. And I don't that don't even sound right when you say it out loud. I want to have some hot fruit. That don't even sound
It's
right.
Safi, that's what it's called. It's basically like it's like a blood detox. You can actually it's actually cheap too.
Mm-hmm.
You can get it on Amazon, I believe.
Right, and for Skia, I believe that too. That energy workers are everywhere. They find you, and I'm glad that Nylah found hers. That she found
Me
hers.
too.
What I would say to women who are in those situations and probably don't even know they're in those situations is that it's not okay to be minimized. It's not okay to, it's really not okay if you're doing all the work and other people are getting the glory for it. That's really not okay.
It's
It's not
not.
okay. Um, you don't hear about this as often, but it's not okay for someone to be putting their hands on you. It's not okay to be emotionally and verbally abused. It's not. And if you're not getting encouragement, if people are being up others, if the men are being uplifted and you are not, then you are not, then they are not your people. I don't know how else to say it. They're not your people. So I would say too, just keep an open mind when it comes to seeking, because I think that's the key as far as what your beliefs are, what your understandings are, because you don't want to just rely on what one man says. I mean, they still don't believe Elijah Muhammad is dead, and believe me, I mean he's dead. But they say he's in a cave or in a submarine or what now that he said that he was in a UFO somewhere. He's
Somewhere he's in a spaceship like circling
spaceship.
the earth. I will, Lorraine. I definitely will. Yeah, he's in a spaceship circling the earth with Joseph and Jesus and Moses and
Like the
Elijah.
mountain. Mm-hmm.
Who was it that went? Yeah, Elisha who went up in the wheel. Enoch, the people that from the Bible that they claim never died, like they took a walk up to heaven. They're all those folks are in this spaceship with them. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
they're chilling. I don't know, how the accommodations are because they've been on this craft for quite some time.
Right.
So, you
Right.
know, I'm just saying.
Right. It's like Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, Kelly. I agree. It's like
Yep.
Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. So that would be, and that's really any organization, really, especially as women. I'm of the opinion that because the justice system doesn't look out for us, because society overall doesn't look out for us, we have to look out for ourselves and we have to look out for other women in general because we're not well protected. And there are a
Hmm.
lot of people that don't care for us. So, just being mindful of those things and just being careful, I think is the biggest thing, you know.
Absolutely.
Right. I agree, Mari. I I don't necessarily I from my understanding, and maybe it's changed because remember the doctrine within the Nation of Islam does change. They don't stand on things 10 toes down. My understanding of it is that I don't believe they believe that there's a hell overall. I don't think they believe there's a hell. Not in the Nation of Islam. So,
Yeah.
what are my thoughts on the rise of the matriarch type topic? I think the role of the matriarch is to keep you in your place, to keep the daughters and the girls in your place. I think that's what they do. I was trying to be gentle and kind about it, but really the truth of the matter is they're just trying to keep you in your place, keep the women in their place, keep doing they're mammies, they're mammies, they're mammies. So and that's what they encourage. They don't encourage independent thinking. They don't encourage you to be the best version of yourself as a female. I never remember that. I don't remember those kinds of things. Right.
Wow, I'm not even gonna answer. Okay.
Oh, you're looking at Charles?
Mm-hmm.
Matriarchy is love and good cooking. Um, Being a mother is more than just good cooking. And I'll leave it at that. Being a mother is more than just
When I hear stuff like that, like relegating matriarchy to something like that,
right.
like the only thing I'm not gonna say that because that's offensive. I'm just saying, God bless you. That's what I'm gonna say.
Oh, what was the email you got, Nylah?
Oh, that I was teaching you how to hate black men. First of all, I don't hate black men. Okay, I hate a few you Negroes, right? And I can never teach anyone to hate y'all. Y'all do a good enough job of making other people hate y'all. Like I would never. I would never. You guys are the most effective at getting people to hate you. I would never participate, honey.
Plus, you're the
Okay.
mother of a son,
Mother of a black son, wife of a
married to a
black
black
husband,
man, have a father
the
that's a black man.
the daddy's girl. Okay, is like stop it. Like,
So, mm-mm. And I'm the mother of sons too. So, I don't hate black men. I love our black men. I just don't really care for
I
black
won't even
men
go
that
that
want to
far.
bring us that want that
That want to bring us down. I
and
used
harm
to be
us.
the one
Yeah,
that I
I
used to
mean,
be the
really,
one
stop
to
it.
say
We hold
I
you up. Don't
love.
tear us down. Hmm.
I used to say, oh, I love black men, our men. And here's the thing: especially if you're on social media long enough, dealing with a lot of them and their personalities, they will wipe that away from you.
Right.
So I absolutely individualize my love for anybody at this point. I do not have a collective blame.
Right. I'm the same way. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Joe Madison. I don't. This is my channel. I don't have to. I can have whoever I want on my channel. That's the beautiful thing. I don't need your permission to have somebody. If you don't like it, sir, you can leave. I'm so serious. It's okay. You can go. I'm not thirsty. So you can go.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah. These comments are really entertaining. Has anyone seen? I haven't seen the Nine Wives, and
Me neither.
I don't know. But he can go. He's free to go. And I mean, this is YouTube. There's all kinds of things you can watch on YouTube. You don't have to watch me. Okay. I got a real troll now. This is my first troll. I feel
It's,
so honored.
they're so much fun. Like they
Uh,
are. Like, they're weird. Some of them they have varying degrees of weirdness. So far he just seems a little fixated. His little panties are in a bunch over you talking about the nation. He's sitting up there with his bean pies and you know. Have you ever even been to the Salam restaurant in Chicago, Fairkind's restaurant that flopped? It was a beautiful.
yes.
You been to it?
Yes. I told you so we would go like for Ramadan, we would go down there every year.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a beautiful restaurant. Too bad that
Hmm.
it didn't last, but it was beautiful. They still have that building just sitting there. I remember when it first opened, you could not get in the Salam. It was beautiful.
Hmm. 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 If you look at Farrakhan's house is gorgeous. They
Oh
will
yeah.
do tours of his house and things of that nature.
And it's
So
got a lot of security. It's down the street from Michelle and Barack's home in Hyde Park. But I used to live literally right down the street from them. And look, they do not play. The FOI is surrounding that.
right.
We got 24-hour security, honey.
Do you see many MGT out there too?
I never saw MGT out there.
All right, that's what I was saying. You don't see the
Yeah.
women. I think I would see MGT on stage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I've never seen them. I agree with Dr. Carissa. He's a BAN. He can't compete in conversations with men, so he had his skirt. Him and his skirt came over here, but we got your back, sis, and we
Oh,
do.
thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
Actually, what I'd rather do is, other than bean pies, bring some Louisiana cooking and stuff like that.
That's what we love, honey. That's what we love. I can't look. When I get to Georgia, I just want to go to Papa Do's.
Stop. Right. Exactly.
Do's, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Did you guys have any other questions? Because that was pretty much everything I was going to say. Or unless not, I was going to add something.
No. I think we're at a good point. Maybe
Okay.
next week we'll get into the spaceships and stuff.
That is funny to me.
The mysticism behind the nation.
Yes.
Joe is going to come back for that.
That would be funny. Yeah, I don't think Joe's going to come back. I think Joe's had enough of me.
No, this is probably the only topic that he wanted to talk about. Like, they got to control women's opinions about everything. Don't you, Joe?
That is very common in the nation, too. Is they want to control. Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
Well, you guys, that was pretty much what we were going to talk about. I think we're going to close this live unless you guys have any other questions. And Nylah and I will probably be back here. I really wasn't intending. I know I love Papa Do's too. But I know. But we might do. I think I was wanting to do other cults, but y'all seem to like the Nation of Islam, so
we might want to start talking about David Taylor because, baby.
Yes, and you know something, I know a lot about that situation, and with I'm trying to get her on my show. The one who was so outspoken a couple of years ago, because I was following
Vicky.
her.
I was just doing a video about her. Vicky
Vicky Yohe.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. The church community was boy, they were hard on her.
But, well, I get it though. I understand why they were, but it still was not supposed to be. They were supposed to be harder on him because he was the quote unquote man in the situation, right? He's the one that said he's Jesus' best friend. He's the one that has the ear of God. So he's the one that's supposed to be held to a higher standard, in my opinion.
He was also connected with some of the bigger respectable names within the Christian community too. Mm-hmm. And so I think, you are, Dr. Carissa, you're familiar with his place there in Missouri? But yeah, I would love to do I was planning to do some things. We could talk about him next.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Absolutely. Church gets it too. So.
Yep. Anybody can get
it. He's got slave labor going on. He's got all these. Vicky Yohe was, people were getting STDs and stuff from him. So,
yeah,
I definitely want to talk about him. Yeah. And he was right on the backs of women too. The women were carrying him.
Yep.
So, but listen, y'all, we're going to go ahead and close out this live. I am sleepy.
Me too.
It's been fun, and we will talk to you guys sometime next week. Oh, the spaceships were on. Oh, for real? Okay, we can touch on the spaceships. That's fun.
Yeah. All righty. I will see you guys next time. Thanks for having me over.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.